How's it going, everybody? This is Andrew, and welcome to another episode of the MADMAN Review. Today we'll take a look at the rather controversial round, the 6.5 Creedmoor. A lot of people lose their minds whenever someone brings up this cartridge, for different reasons. Some people are disgusted at the mere mention of it. Others are in love with it, and some people using it so much that they cannot imagine themselves using a different cartridge. However, I will not talk about why the Creedmoor is good. I'm sure this has already been extensively covered. If you are new to the shooter world, the 6.5 Creedmoor is only a cartridge. This means I'm only talking about the vessel that holds the primer, powder, and bullet. This really makes you wonder why some people are so triggered at the mere mention of this cartridge. Let's look at some of the big reasons why the Creedmoor received all the hate. Number 1. It's not the only cartridge. First, a bit of history lesson. The cartridge got its name from a farm on Long Island, New York. Creedmoor was where the NRA shooting matches were held, and where people were shooting at targets about 1,000 yards away. The 1,000-yard international shooting competitions at the Creedmoor facility were around for quite a long time, way before smokeless powder was invented. In these competitions, a lot of shooters used the .30-06 Springfield. Then, in 1935, the .300 Holland & Holland won the Wimbledon Cup. The target community adored the .308 Winchester. The .300 Winchester Magnum can do its job very well. We also have the .260 Remington and the 6.5 284 Norma that represented the 6.5mm bore. What I'm trying to say here is that the 6.5 Creedmoor isn't the only good cartridge in the market today. Even if you are looking at the 6.5mm variant, perhaps some of the hate directed towards this cartridge was due to the fact that some Creedmoor lovers talk about it as if it's the be-all, end-all cartridge, or the best cartridge in existence, which certainly isn't the case. Number 2, it's still young. Another problem with the 6.5 Creedmoor is that it is new to the market, and its viability is not as good as people made it out to be. The closest example in terms of performance is the Swedish 6.5 by 55 from the end of the 19th century. It can do whatever the 6.5 Creedmoor does. There are even older cartridges still commercially available today. We have the .260 Remington that is based on the .308 Winchester from 1952. There's the .264 Winchester Magnum based on the .375 Holland & Holland from 1912. The 6.5 284 Norma cartridge I mentioned earlier is based on the .384 Winchester that is over 50 years old. What about the 6.5 Creedmoor? It's based on the .30 TC, which not a lot of people know or nor care about. The cartridge lacks exposure. It still needs to be tested for a long time before we can begin to consider its viability, let alone putting it above some well-known cartridges. Number 3, it's gaining in popularity. Despite the above reasons, it seems that the 6.5 Creedmoor is becoming increasingly popular among hunters and competitive shooters. I can go as far as to say that the Creedmoor is the new .30-06 Springfield, only in terms of popularity, of course. But the popularity creates a misconception about this cartridge. Still in its infancy, some make it so that the Creedmoor is the only go-to cartridge, and that all riflemen only need this cartridge to perform well. It makes you think that the Creedmoor can do everything ranging from curing cancer to bringing you breakfast in bed. As much as I want that to happen, that's not the case. In terms of performance, as I've discussed in a previous episode, the .30-06 easily beats the Creedmoor. Unless some innovative technology beyond my imagination, there will not be a day when Creedmoor beats the .30-06. The .30-06 will always be the king in the hunting field for small and large game alike. That's not to say that the Creedmoor is not viable. It is certainly effective for deer, antelope, hogs, or coyotes. It is a little light for moose and elk, however it works for African plains game, although you will start to struggle when it comes to eland, zebra, and wild beast. The .30-06, even before the modern powder and ballistic technology, it could take down a lion and a rhino. Teddy Roosevelt did just that after his presidency, and he wasn't even a good shooter. With the modern .30-06, he could easily take down large game without breaking a sweat. That said, is there room for other cartridges such as the 6.5 Creedmoor? Yes, it is a good option for hunting deer, and a well-aimed shot can take down a black bear. But still, if you're hunting for larger game, you're better off with heavier, punchier cartridges. Number 4, it works. Maybe I was being too harsh on the 6.5 Creedmoor. The only problem people have it is the fact that there's just as many people who put it on a pedestal. When you discuss anything that requires a comparison of different products, there will be people who are passionate about it. What I'm trying to say is that there will be people who swear by the Creedmoor or hate it with a passion. But there are more shooters who are more conserved and moderate about this sort of thing. From an objective standpoint, the Creedmoor is by no means a bad cartridge. It makes for an excellent target cartridge thanks to its accuracy, wind deflection resistance, recoil, and barrel life, not to mention affordability and availability. It's easy to handle, which helps bring in new shooters to the range. Moreover, many competitive shooters love the reliability of the Creedmoor. At 1,000 yards, you can hit your target much more consistently with a Creedmoor than other cartridges, such as the .308 Winchester. Although the 6.5 Creedmoor may never share the popularity of the .30-06 bore, it has contributed much to cartridge development. If anything, it has been a huge positive boost for the 6.5mm bore. Harmony keeps coming back to us with excellent products that they keep making new headway in terms of cartridge development. For instance, the 6.5 Creedmoor uses the A-tip, which was an eye-opener when it debuted at the Leopold Optics Academy. It showed its viability at 1,500 yards in the infamous Eastern Oregon winds. For medium-sized game, the Creedmoor is definitely effective, without a doubt. At 2,050 feet per second, a well-built 140-grain bullet can take down an animal with a well-placed shot to any vital organ. Even so, one should not gloss over common sense when selecting a cartridge for a game animal. At the end of the day, there's no denying that the Creedmoor is a good target and hunting cartridge for its intended applications. Some love it, some hate it, but that's just a matter of opinion. In terms of performance, it's about equal to the .260 Remington as a hunting cartridge. The reason is that you will not see the strength of the Creedmoor until past 500 yards, by which point you probably should be shooting an unwounded game in the first place. You may find it easier to work with the Creedmoor in a short-action magazine, with its short cause allowing it to handle longer ogive bullets. You may struggle with the seating depth with the .260 Remington. So, to sum it all up, is the 6.5 Creedmoor the king of hunting and competitive cartridges? No, not really. Not by a long shot. In fact, one of the main reasons why this cartridge receives so much hate is perhaps down to the people who use it religiously and shun those who have a more realistic view. This seems to spawn the opposite group of people who are also overly passionate about the cartridge, except they downplay its actual effectiveness. It all boils down to personal views, which tends to have nothing to do with the cartridge's performance. I understand how some of you hate towards this cartridge is unwarranted and unfounded, but I presented to you a more objective take on that matter. In reality, the 6.5 Creedmoor is a good cartridge that can perform pretty well. It is definitely an excellent choice for shooters who value barrel life, accuracy out to 1,500 yards, even in tough wind conditions. Looking at things now, it appears that the argument surrounding the Creedmoor will continue for perpetuity. I know this episode may not end this heated discussion once and for all, but I know that this will at least shine a light on the matter so that you know why some people are so passionate about it. Well, thank you so much, guys, for watching till the end of the video. We'll be back with more content for you guys very soon.